was working on it.
Huh. All right, well, I think again, for sake of everybody's time, and we'll get this thing called to order. This is the Village of Ruidoso, City of Ruidoso Downs Consolidated Dispatch Joint Board. Our regular meeting today, Wednesday, July 8th at 1 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call for you, Bertha. That way I can say where people are, if that's all right. Chairman Hooker, I'm present here in the Village of Ruidoso. Chief Thetford, present here in the Village of Ruidoso. Ms. Lutterman here, present Village of Ruidoso, and Joe Kazabowski, present Village of Ruidoso. We're all here. And then on the screen, I see Assistant Chief Ellard from Ruidoso Downs in the Downs, Chief Scott, Ruidoso Downs PD in the Downs, Miss Burden, and then she's in the Downs. And then we have on the line Sheriff-elect Wood and Joe Kenmore's. Oh, and then Katie Simpson. Everybody say yay.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. Everybody's here. Okay, far out. So right now I'll ask for an approval of the agenda.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
First and a second. Anybody disagree with that? Okay, we'll go ahead and go along there. Thank you. Regular items. We're going to go into the number one is the approval of the minutes from May 13, 2020 regular meeting. They should be attached. If there's any discussion or any change to those, we can do that now. If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve those as they were presented.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes of May 13th, 2020 regular meeting.
Make a second.
Okay, so we got a first, Chief Thetford, second, Chief Scott, Chief Ellard. Any other discussion on that? Okay, so moving on. Number two, discussion and possible action on Lincoln County Sheriff's Office joining the Consolidated Dispatch. Sheriff-elect Wood, I think we still got you there, and
Sir,
we'll just open it up to you if you want to say a few things.
well, I appreciate it, Chief, and thank every one of you for allowing me to sit in on the meeting. I'll just come right out and get to the chase. I want in. Obviously, I won't be taking office until January, but this is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And when I first moved to Lincoln County, I kind of wondered why it wasn't something that was already going on until I learned of the exemption based on geographics. And obviously, our participation in terms of the Sheriff's Office and the county volunteers and the EMS would be overcoming the hurdle of the geographic challenge. In essence, wherever Consolidated Dispatch is, the Horton Complex, can dispatch communicate with the volunteers and my deputies in Corona, north of the Capitans, etc. So I understand that that's the reason for the exemption, and so our participation would be based solely upon whether or not we could overcome that particular hurdle. But I will tell you that I'm extremely interested in this. I've seen it work. I've been part of it. It improves the quality of service that we provide our citizenry. I just want to make sure it works. And I would propose that the first stage and first step that I actually took would be to do sort of a study and sit down there at the Horton. Can you get out of that spot there and touch my guys and gals in Corona, etc. So again, I know it's very preliminary, and it would ultimately be up to the powers that be as to whether or not we were able to do this deal. But just so you know, as the incoming sheriff, I am absolutely interested. I've been visiting with Joe Kenmore quite often about this matter. He can tell you that it's something I've wanted in on for a very long time, and I'm to the point now where I can actually say with confidence, because I will be coming in as a sheriff, I want in. So thank you. And one step at a time. You know, I think the chief said one time, you don't eat an elephant in one bite. It's a nibble. So that would have to be where we are. And Joe's absolutely willing to work out the logistics with me. I would have to defer to his expertise, and folks who than I do in terms of making it work.
Okay, so let me chime in there. One of the things that initially comes to mind, like you've already said, the ability to talk from wherever to wherever. You know, I think we're going to have to relook the potential for the Horton not being big enough. When we went down there, it's been a little while back. The room that they were going to put us in, the walls are load bearing, so we can't knock them out to make it bigger. They talked about maybe going into another room that might be bigger, but that would be, I think, one of our side-by-side hurdles with the ability to talk anywhere in the county, which I don't think that's a problem. I mean, you can repeater and link and flux capacitor, anything in the world. But then the other thing would be just that size of coming together. Now, for the sake of our discussion, what's your normal makeup of dispatchers? What do you try to have?
Yep. We're at 7. I thought it was 8, but the dispatch supervisor makes 7 total dispatchers that we have now. And at any one given time, most of the time we have 2 on at a time. Here lately, we've been spread pretty thin, and so we have 7 positions within the county with the sheriff's office right now.
Okay, so again, that's where we start looking at how many seats we're going to need. Katie, you're still on there with us?
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
Okay. If we can, maybe just not a tasking to do immediately, but let's look back at that schematic and see if they have a bigger room for us. And then if so, we send off to that company that was doing the mock-up and look at total stations and that kind of stuff.
Sure. So yeah, we can arrange something with village manager maybe and go look at another spot over there and see if it would be big enough, and then have somebody come out to see about, positions. I would say that if we consolidated fully with the county, we normally have 2 on at a time. If the county does 2, I'd like to see probably 4 or 5 positions in probably 6 positions in the center.
Sure. Now, the other thing that we would have to discuss as a board in doing so, we hadn't even made it a whole year yet with our initial merging, but now we would bring on, I think if I counted out 8 other entities. Joe, does that sound about right between your sheriff's office and your volunteers?
I think we would have possibly 8, only because it would truly be the village of Carrizozo, or the town of Carrizozo, village of Capitan, the county of which we represent, the fire departments, and then we have EMS. EMS would be basically the same, whether it be Ruidoso or Lincoln County, so to speak. So
Right.
I don't think we would have to drag a lot more in there as such to have representation.
Right.
Yes, sir.
But then as we continue on, it would be the monetary impact to each entity. As we started this, and this is just to give you guys in the county a little bit of history, and we're trying to work through this, is, you start looking at the number of calls, who's getting more use, who's not, is it worth it, is it this or that? We would have to do that, I think, all the way down to that, Corona Fire Department or Hondo or whatever it may be.
Yes, sir.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm with you there. That is definitely a part of it, and there's no question about it.
Sure.
Yes, no question.
Okay. Joe Kazabowski, you got something?
Yeah, I know. One thing that I thought about, and I know I've discussed a little bit with Chief Thetford, is I know we've discussed his plan to put him in the Horton complex, but another location that would be prime for consolidating with the SO is out at the airport. It's up on top of that mesa, and it'll reach everywhere, but everybody would have to travel out there to work, but we do have plenty of land out there that we could put a building and dispatch location out there.
Yes, and that's something, I don't know if y'all heard him for the peanut gallery was, I mean, not you, Mr. Underwood, but it was going out to the airport. There is, a lot of village land out there. Again, that all comes down to how much money we would be able to get out of the state or ourselves to potentially build something. I'm going to ask Jeff, he's sitting in here with us. You said they had a different spot for us in the Horton?
Going to be, if you come around, the the meeting room that's there. If you go down the hall and around, you guys are like the first space on the left, before the breezeway there. It was an old science lab.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's got, like sinks all the way around, natural gas stuff. It's pretty big. I'd say it's, as big as this room at least, or bigger. So I don't know if that's
Okay.
what you were thinking.
So for those of you that can't hear, Jeff was talking to us about there is a potential for another room in the Horton, but again, nothing's in stone. I don't think anybody's got the concrete mold poured yet on any of it. So again, Chief Sheriff-elect Wood, I'm glad you're wanting to do this, and I think it will benefit the entire county, and I'd like to pledge our support to see if we can make this happen. And do you guys have anything else from the county?
Well, I do want to thank you for that, Chief. I hope everybody feels the same way. I was concerned that maybe things might have progressed to the point where it would be logistically, if not impossible, at least difficult. So I'm glad to hear that there's some playroom there. And I guess at some point if it looks like we're going to be successful in our having joined up in this deal, we'd obviously need to do, I guess, sort of a financial impact to see if it's cheaper to remodel or build a suit. And I think Katie hit it on the head with her spot. And I think that those are the numbers that Joe and I actually had in mind too. So I think she's spot on there. So again, thank you. And I'm relieved to know that there may be some wiggle room in there. And I'm going to get more and more excited about this as time goes on.
Okay, well, I'm going to open it up to any of our any other board members. Anybody else want to say? Ms. Letterman?
Chief, thanks. I just would like to say that it's great that we haven't already started building, and so I think it's really important that we go ahead and try to look at this and try to go ahead and consolidate now. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
Anybody from the Downs on Zoom? Anybody out there? Comments, concerns to item number 2 there, visiting about the sheriff's office?
Can you hear me?
I got you, Mr. Underwood. Go right ahead.
And I apologize for joining late, technologically deficient here.
It's all right. We won't hold that against you.
So I guess based upon the gist of the conversation and what I saw on the agenda is that the sheriff-elect is interested in having the sheriff's department join in our consolidated dispatch?
Yes, sir. You broke out there for a minute, but that is correct. He would like to, he's throwing it out there saying, I'd like to be a part of this. Obviously, nothing can happen until his swearing in, but we just wanted to put it on here for an item to discuss and know and, start working towards.
And that's all great with us. I knew that the sitting sheriff had come and talked to us once or twice. And my only issue is, as y'all remember, is the fact that my understanding was that we had issues based upon elevation of good communications between the Carrizozo and Ruidoso that require 2 different stations. So if that can be resolved, or if the 2 stations can coexist and consolidate, I think that's all good.
Mr. Underwood, Under Sheriff Wood here, and I appreciate your concerns, and yes, that is something we discussed a moment ago, and at this point in particular, at this stage of the game, in terms of my office being involved, I wanted to get out there today, express my interest, and let you know that I wanted to, I've solicited the assistance of Joe Kenmore and whomever else I need to do sort of a study and see if we can overcome some of those obstacles. So yes, we did discuss that, and that would most likely be a deal breaker or maker. If I can't talk to my deputies or the ambulance or the firefighters in Corona, and it's just not possible at this point in time, I just can't get past the fact that I think the technology to this day and age should be something we would be able to overcome, whereas 10, 15 years ago, maybe not so much. So thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, that's something so my objective today was twofold. One, let you know I'm all in. I'm interested. I really want in on this. I've seen it work. many benefits versus, the downside. So, thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Underwood.
Thank you very much and congratulations on your election.
Thanking you kindly, sir. Appreciate that.
Chief Scott, did you or Chief Ellard have anything?
I just wanted to say, I think this is the perfect opportunity and everything seems to be falling in place and that we kind of move farther forward than we have. So I look forward to working out all the issues and coming together as really consolidated dispatch.
Awesome. Okay. Well, with that then, we'll just end that discussion. Thank everybody. We'll move to our last item. That's discussion on vacant positions. I've got our current dispatch supervisor, Katie Simpson, on the line. Katie, can you give us a quick rundown of where we're at as far as on board, in the hopper, potential hires, whatever?
Yes, sir. Katie Simpson here over at Redoso PD. We currently have 8 employed. We've got one new hire that's going to be starting around August 3rd. She's a transplant from Texas, so she's already certified in Texas, so we're pretty excited about that. We have, after she hires August 3rd, we'll have 4 vacancies. We conducted interviews last week. 2 made it into receiving a background packet, and they have until tomorrow to turn their background packets in, so we could potentially have 2 more ready for background, but that just depends if they turn them in and how those go.
Okay. Any questions of Katie from the board? Anybody out there in virtual land? I am going to ask you a question, not to put you on the spot, but if I can take the liberty, any points of discussion at this time as far as how far we've come in the consolidated issues, concerns, anything that hasn't been worked out? Katie?
Sorry,
Okay.
radio was going off. No, I think everything's been going pretty smooth. The things that have been brought up have, been handled, and I think everybody's worked together and we've gotten it. I think it's come pretty smooth.
The other thing is our MOU, not the MOU, the policy manual. We know we came up with one of those, but I think we continue to see that it needs to be updated and worked on, and it's kind of a living document. And I say that somewhat as a statement and as a question to you. Katie?
Sorry. Yeah, it's going to need some things updated. Questions have been asked about chain of command and how things are going to flow and stuff like that, as far as who I report to. Do I report to the board, or do I report to Lieutenant Chavez, Chief Hooker, how disciplinary actions are handled?
Okay. Well, just keep working on those things, and if we need to bring them up at the next meeting, then we can.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion on our vacant positions? Anybody? Then I will ask for reports from board members. I'll start virtual. Chief Scott's on the phone. Chief Ellard, you got anything?
No, sir. We are good at this time. Everything's going great.
Okay, far out. Chief Scott's on the phone. Mr. Underwood, you're always good for something. Did we lose him altogether? He's frozen?
Yeah.
He might be.
There he is.
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ms. Burton, did you have anything you needed to? Okay. I'll go here then. Joe Kazabowski, anything?
No, sir, I don't have anything else.
Ms. Letterman?
No.
Chief Thetford?
No, sir.
Okay, then, folks, again, we're going to try to do this every quarter. So if October the 14th, and if you get a cancellation or something, call and double check, ask, because
I already sent out the invite.
Joe's got it then, October the 14th. Okay.
And it also showed a cancellation on that one, so I was gonna ask.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
some reason on the calendar, so.
The 14th at 1 o'clock, we'll do it. Hopefully we'll be back together maybe, but if not, we'll be virtual. So, okay then, we don't have a closed session. I'll move to adjourn. Adjourn.
Adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, y'all on the phone.